Hi, I'm here to read chapters 24, 25, and 26. 24. Hey, said Miguel, hiding the tiny square of paper behind his back. Yo. Yo, said Kyle. What's up? Nothing. Just, working the puzzle. Yeah, us too. Okay, later. Later. Both boys thumped their fists on their chests like baseball players do. Miguel turned and ran for a staircase winding up to the second floor. Come on, you guys, said Kyle as he took off running for a different set of steps. When Kyle, Akimi, and Sierra made it up to the balcony, they watched Miguel run up to the third floor. As soon as he disappeared into a room up there, Kyle unrolled the game sketch. Look at the drawing, then look down at the floor, said Kyle. They're the same, said Sierra. Exactly. A circular room with a round desk at the center of that circle. Awesome, said Akimi, and there are 10 doors ringed around the balcony up here on the second floor, just like on the game board. Kyle tapped the rendering of the spinner in the right-hand corner of the game plans. See how the spinner is divided into 10 different colored sections, numbered 0 to 9? It looks like the Wonder Dome, said Akimi. When it's not doing its kaleidoscope thing or running a video that makes you think the building is hang gliding across Alaska, which totally made me airsick. Well, in the game, you have to go into all 10 Dewey Decimal book rooms and answer a trivia question about a book. If you answer correctly, you slip a book into your bookshelf and move on to another part of the library. When you have 10 books, one from each room, it's basically a race to see who can exit the library first. Okay, said Akimi, sounding pumped. This is good. This is major. Except one thing's missing, said Kyle. What? Asked Sierra. Mr. Lemoncello always works a clever backdoor shortcut into his games. For instance, in Family Frenzy, you can use the coal chute to slide into the millionaire's mansion at the end, said Akimi. Exactly. And in that castle game, Charles snuck out through the sewers. Anyway, when my brother Curtis beat me at Bibliomania, You lost? Akimi acted surprised. It happens, occasionally, but only because Curtis used this shortcut. Kyle tapped a black square in the game diagram. It took him straight out to the street. He beat me by one spin of the spinner. I don't see any black squares in the floor of our rotunda, said Akimi. Maybe, said Sierra. For this new game, Mr. Lemoncello put the secret squares someplace besides the main room. Kyle nodded. And maybe to win this new game, we need to play the old one. You're a genius, said Akimi. No, my brother Curtis is a genius. I just like to play games. So, do libraries even have board games? Sure, said Sierra. The library in my dad's town has them. Which department? Asked Akimi, pulling out her floor plan. Young adult. Akimi tapped her map. Third floor. Stairs over there. Let's go, said Kyle. But before they could take off, they heard Mr. Lemoncello's voice echoing in the rotunda. Are you ready for your extreme challenge, Bridget? Kyle and his teammates peered over the ledge of the balcony. Bridget Wadge was alone in front of the librarian's desk, staring up at the ceiling. Yes, sir, she said. Are you sure? Mr. Lemoncello's voice boomed out of hidden speakers. You still have 22 hours to find the exit. I want to go for it now, sir. Get a jump on everybody else. Very well. Dr. Zinchenko, reset the statues. The 10 holographic statues in the recessed nooks flickered off, leaving black and empty spaces. This extreme challenge is based on the classic game of Author's Card Game, said Mr. Lemoncello. Here are the authors in your deck. Magically, new holographic statues appeared as Mr. Lemoncello rattled off the authors' names. Charles Dickens, Raymond Chandler, Edgar Allan Poe, Agatha Christie, Patricia Highsmith, Mario Puzo, Frederick Forsyth, John le Carré, Dashiell Hammett, and Fyodor Dostoevsky. He wrote Crime and Punishment, said Bridget excitedly. Indeed he did. In fact, said Bridget, all those authors wrote crime novels. Correct again. However, that's the easy part. Dr. Z? How do we make this author's game ridiculously difficult enough to qualify as an extreme challenge? Simple, said the librarian's voice, echoed under the dome. You will have 2 minutes, Bridget, to name 4 books written by each of our authors. Kyle gulped. That's impossible, he whispered. Not really, said Sierra. She was about to start rattling off titles when Mr. Lemoncello said, Go! The sound of a ticking clock reverberated around the room. Okay, said Bridget down on the main floor. Agatha Christie, Murder on the Orient Express, 10 Little Indians, Death on the Nile, The Mousetrap. Somewhere a bell dinged, and the British lady in the sensible shoes disappeared. Poe, The Murders in the Rue Morgue, The Mask of the Red Death, The Purloined Letter, The Cask of Amontillado. Another ding. Another statue vanished. Bridget kept going. Man, whispered Kyle, what grade is she in? College? 7th, said Akemi, just like us. Bridget Wadge kept tearing through the authors. The bell kept dinging. But the clock kept ticking too. 10 seconds, said Mr. Lemoncello. Bridget had saved the worst for last. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Crime and Punishment. Crime and Punishment, the one about the brothers. And then she stalled. She'd run out of gas. A buzzer sounded. I'm sorry, Bridget, said Dr. Zinchenko, but as we advised you, the extreme challenges are extremely difficult. You will be going home with lovely parting gifts. Kindly hand your library card to Clarence, and thank you for playing Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library. That settles it, muttered Kyle. I am never, ever asking for one of those extreme challenge dealios. Me neither, said Akemi. I might, said Sierra. Maybe. And then she showed Kyle and Akemi the rumpled sheet of paper where she had written down 5 book titles for all 10 authors. Chapter 25. Akemi grabbed the door handle to the young adult room. It's locked. Here, said Sierra, use my library card. Huh, said Akemi. Your books on the back are different, too. I think they all are. I got the Egypt game and the Westing game. 2 books about games, said Kyle. Sweet. Akemi slipped Sierra's card into a reader slot above the doorknob. The door clicked. Kyle pushed it open. The walls of the young adult room were painted purple and yellow. There were swirly zebra print rugs on the floor and a lumpy cluster of beanbag chairs. A couple of sofas were designed to look like Scrabble trays with letter square pillows. Akemi nudged Kyle in the ribs. Check it out. In the far corner stood a carnival ticket booth with a mechanical dummy seated inside. A fun and games banner hung off the booth's striped roof. The dummy inside the glass booth? He looked like Mr. Lemoncello. He wasn't wearing a turban, but the Mr. Lemoncello mannequin reminded Kyle of the Zoltar Speaks fortune teller booths he'd seen in video game arcades. That's not really him, is it? Said Akemi, who was right behind Kyle. No, it's a mechanical doll. The Frozo automaton was dressed in a black top hat and a bright red ringmaster jacket. Since the booth had the fun and games banner, Kyle figured you might have to talk to the dummy to get a game. Hello, he said. We'd like to play a board game. Bells rang, whistles whistled, and chaser lights blinked. The mechanical Mr. Lemoncello jostled to life. If you want a game, just say its name. The life-size puppet's blocky jaw flapped open and shut, almost in sync with the words. Do you have Mr. Lemoncello's bewildering, baffling bibliomania? Did Joey Pigza lose control? Was Ella enchanted? Huh? Just say yes, suggested Sierra. Yes, said Kyle. Well, great Gilly Hopkins, said the Lemoncello dummy. Here you go. Kyle heard some mechanical noises and some whirring. Then, with a clunk, a wide slot popped open in the front of the booth and a game box slid out. Enjoy, said the dummy. And remember, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. So be sure to read the instructions so you'll know how to play the game. Kyle took the box to a table. Okay, he said, raising the lid. Let's set it up, Anne. There was a beep and the door opened. Where is he? Andrew Puckleman barged into the room waving his antique magazine, something called Popular Science Monthly. Who are you looking for? Said Kyle. Mr. Lemoncello. I heard him. Is he in here? Kyle pointed toward the frozen Lemoncello doll sitting in the Carney booth. It's a dummy. Puckleman whipped his head around from side to side. Is there a camera in here? Right over the door. Puckleman spun around to face it. Kyle, Akemi, and Sierra formed a human shield to hide their bibliomania box. I want to use a second lifeline, Puckleman shouted at the camera. I want to talk to an expert. Very well, said a calm voice Kyle immediately recognized as belonging to Dr. Zinchenko. With whom do you wish to speak? The guy who wrote this stupid magazine article about cracking open bank vaults in the 1930s. I'm afraid we cannot arrange that for you, Andrew. Why not? The guy's a moron. He didn't tell me anything about how to open the front door, which is what my Google search said this magazine would do. We told you the way out isn't the way in. That was just a red herring, a trick to throw us off course. No, Andrew, it was not. What is the title of the article? Newest Bank Vaults Defy the Cracksman. Ah, well, that should have been a hint. Apparently, the reporter concluded that thieves could not break open the vault doors. When doing internet research, it is important to let me talk to the stupid idiot. I am sorry. That magazine was published in 1936. The reporter is dead. Well, then, I want to talk to Mr. Lemoncello. Excuse me? I want to talk to Mr. Lemoncello. This is highly irregular, and so's this game. You people have it rigged so Miguel Fernandez will win. I know you do. That's why Mr. Lemoncello is afraid to talk to me. Kyle heard the carnival booth dummy clatter back to life. Hello, Andrew. How may I help you? This Lemoncello didn't sound pre-recorded. Apparently, the real deal was using the dummy to do his talking. Your library stinks, shouted Peckelman. Oh dear, have you boys been playing that castle sewer game again? No, but this stupid article should have given me the stupid answer, but the stupid writer didn't write what he should have written. I see, and can you rephrase that in the form of a question? How many can I ask you? Just one, and then we're done. Okay, you're the expert on this stupid new library game, so where's your favorite contestant? Where's Miguel? Is that your final question? Yes! Assuming our video monitors are correct, Mr. Fernandez is on the other side of the third floor doing research in the art and artifacts room. Thanks. Andrew bolted out the door. The Lemoncello puppet bucked and drooped its off mode. Kyle sprang up from the table. Come on, he said to Akemi and Sierra. Akemi sighed. Now where are we going? To make sure Peckelman doesn't do something stupid that gets Miguel kicked out of the game. And why would we do that? Because Miguel's our friend. Akemi glanced at her floor plan. The art and artifacts room is on the other side of the circle. Sierra, stay here and guard the game box. Come on, Akemi. Kyle and Akemi looped around the third floor balcony to the other side. Kyle glanced at his watch. It was almost 3 p.m. They really needed to start focusing on the game and not all this other monkey junk. As they neared the art and artifacts room, there was a shout and the door flew open. Andrew Peckelman came running out. Behind him were a woman with the head and tail of a lioness and a pharaoh in a cobra headpiece. The pharaoh stopped. May onions grow in your earwax, and a series of holographic hieroglyphics danced across the air. Andrew Peckelman raced to a staircase, grabbed both handrails, and hurried down to the second floor. The Egyptians vanished. Kyle and Akemi entered the art and artifacts room and found Miguel seated at a desk with what looked like blueprints. You okay? Asked Kyle. Yeah, man, I'm fine. Thanks. Those guys chasing Andrew, where'd they come from? Holograms from the giant Lego Sphinx and Pyramid exhibit. So why'd they turn on Andrew? Asked Akemi. I don't know. One minute he's yelling at me, the next the Pharaoh and Sekhmet are yelling at him. Sek who? Said Kyle. Sekhmet, said Akemi, the Egyptian lion goddess and warrior. Haven't you read The Red Pyramid by Rick Riordan? It's on my list, said Kyle. Or it would be. He definitely needed to start a reading list soon so he could catch up with everybody else. I bet the security guards in the control room fired up the Egyptian holograms when they saw Andrew going berserk in here, said Akemi. Good, said Miguel. The library is supposed to be a place for peaceful contemplation. That was when Sierra Russell rushed into the room. You guys, right after you left, the Mr. Lemoncello dummy spit out a bonus card. Chapter 26. Very clever, said Charles, pulling another silhouette card out of a book. This cover had been easy to find. It was the third book on the top shelf of the staff picks display. The image on the front was a bright yellow yield sign. The title? Universal Road Signs by renowned trafficologist Abigail Rose Painter. Charles had found the matching book in the 300s room on the second floor. The 300s were all about social sciences, including things like commerce, communications, and, ta-da, transportation. The image also fit nicely with the pictogram he had found in the 700s room in a book called The Umpire Strikes Back. That baseball book was the first cover on the second shelf in the display case, and had given Charles a card with the classic pose of an umpire calling it out. Reading the images from left to right, then down, just like you'd read a book, Charles knew he was on the right track. The traffic sign book gave him walk, and the umpire book gave him out. Put the two picture words together, and he had walk out. Clearly, if he could find all 12 silhouettes, the staff picks display would tell him how to walk out of the library, although he had absolutely no idea what the first image he had found, the quarterback tossing a pass, had to do with escaping the library. Not yet, anyway. 3 down, 9 to go, said Charles, winking up at the closest security camera. And Mr. Lemoncello, if you're watching, may I just say that you are an extremely brilliant man? Charles had never sucked up to a video camera before. He figured it was worth the shot. Maybe Mr. Lemoncello would send him a bonus clue or something. Instead, when Charles stepped out of the 300s room, somebody sent him Andrew Peckelman. The Google-eyed library geek was spluttering mad as he rushed down the steps and stomped around the second-floor balcony. Stupid library, stupid Lemoncello, stupid Sphinx and Sekhmet. Why so glum, Andrew? Charles called out. Because this game stinks. Mr. Lemoncello just sent a bunch of holograms hurling hieroglyphics after me. He could put somebody's eye out with those things. Really? With the hologram? Hey, they're made with lasers, aren't they? Indeed. Say, speaking of hieroglyphics, where might I find a book about picture languages? Ha! Why should I help you? Because Kyle Keeley is working with Akimi Hughes and Sierra Russell. I imagine it is only a matter of time before your friend Miguel Fernandez joins their team, too. Miguel isn't my friend. Besides, I'm better at navigating my way through library than he'll ever be. I know. That's why I want you on my team. Really? Charles smiled. Kids like Andrew Peckelman were so easy to manipulate. Oh, yes. Work with me, and I guarantee you the world will know that you should be the head library aide at Alexandriaville Middle School. The 400s, blurted Peckelman. Pardon? That's where you'll find books on hieroglyphics in all kinds of languages. If you want secret codes, those are in the 600s rooms. The 650s, to be exact. Charles shot out his hand. Welcome to Team Charles, Andrew. The new teammate stepped into the 400s room. For some reason, it was pitch dark and smelled like pine trees. Bienvenida, bienvenue, Watami, Quarka Kibisha, I think. Welcome, boomed a voice from the ceiling speakers. This is the 400s room, home of foreign languages. Here, Charles and Andrew, you can learn all about your American heritage. A bank of spotlights thumped on. Charles and Andrew were face to blank face with a row of 4 featureless mannequins. An overhead projector beamed a movie onto dummy number 2, turning it into a perky woman who looked like a flight attendant. Hello, and welcome to your American heritage. I'm Debbie. Let's begin your voyage. That's okay, said Charles. We're rather busy. Let's begin your voyage, the mannequin repeated. Charles sighed. Obviously, there was no way to turn this silly display off. He might as well speed things along by telling the dummy what it wanted to hear. Fine, but can we go with the abridged version? We're in a bit of a rush. Yeah, added Andrew. We have to escape before noon tomorrow. The woman, whose body remained frozen while a movie made her face and costume spring to life, reminded Charles of the graveyard statues from the Haunted Mansion ride at Disney World. While we research your family tree, she said, please enjoy the short and informative film. Is this part of the game? Andrew whispered to Charles. Possibly. Pay attention for any bonus clues. Okay, what do they look like? Who can ever say? A screen behind the life-size dummies leapt to life with all sorts of scratchy images of people huddled together on the deck of a boat near the Statue of Liberty. For decades, narrated the ceiling voice, public libraries have proudly served America's newest citizens, the immigrants who flocked to these shores yearning for the freedom to build their own American dreams. Charles really wasn't interested in this kind of stuff. His ancestors were all Americans. The only language they spoke was English. Yes, the library is where many new arrivals journey first, to learn their new homeland's language, to keep in touch with the world they left behind, to search for the gainful employment that will make them productive residents of their newly adopted home. The movie dissolved into blackness. Thank you for your kind attention, chirped cheerful Debbie. We have completed your American family tree. Let's meet your first American ancestors. 2 mannequins sprang to illuminated life, both of them dressed in traditional Thanksgiving pilgrim costumes. I know who they are already, said Charles. That's John Chiltington and his wife Eleanor. They came to Plymouth Colony on the Mayflower. Can we move on to Andrew's family, please? Of course, said Debbie. The mannequins quickly went through Andrew Peckelman's ancestry. Apparently, the family name had originally been Pickleman because they made pickles. After a prolonged parade of pickle people, the dummies took on the guise of Andrew's most famous ancestor, a guy in horn-rimmed glasses and a tweed sports coat named Peter Paul Peckelman. I appeared on the TV game show Concentration in 1968, he announced, and won a room full of furniture and wood paneling for my rumpus room. Charles smiled. He knew the TV game show Concentration was very similar to Mr. Lemoncello's phenomenal picture word puzzler, one of the games he had picked up at the toy store. Peter Paul Puckleman's claim to fame was further confirmation that piecing together the picture puzzle would show Charles how to escape from the library. He'd been right. The dummies had just given him a bonus clue. All right, and that's it for chapters 24, 25, and 26.